Welcome to Skin Deep, a sacred space where we peel back the layers, speak the unspeakable, and remember who we were before the world told us who to be. I'm your host, Kiara Charles, and this is Season 2, A Deeper Dive. An exploration on the wounds that shape us and the wisdom that's been waiting underneath. I started this channel because God told me to. And I would be remiss if I didn't say that I wasn't nervous. Nervous to share intimate details of my life with the world. But obedience is better than sacrifice. And through my intimate relationship with God, I realized that it's okay to be the student and the teacher. So today, I'm going to teach you something that helped me heal my mind, my body, and my spirit. Let's take a deeper dive. In Season 1, we opened a discussion on the core wounds we experience in childhood and how they shape the adults we become today. And today we'll take a deeper dive into the wound of abandonment. The abandonment wound, often confused with the rejection wound, is one of the most identity-shaping core wounds. It begins early, when you feel unseen, unwanted, or unchosen. That pain quietly directs how we move through love, leadership, and purpose. Healing these wounds isn't just personal work, it's leadership work. Because when you can lead yourself through the pain, you can lead others from a place of wholeness. The first time I experienced the abandonment wound was through sexual trauma, which I shared in Season 1. But it didn't stop there. The wound reopened again and again, and each time it cut deeper and deeper. As a little girl, I often played alone. And one day, I was pulled from my room to my abusers. And at some point, there was a knock on the door. I'll never forget. There was an adult on the other side. And we locked eyes. I was completely exposed, completely afraid. And all they did was shut the door. In that moment, something in me shifted. And I stopped seeing adults as protectors. And I started to believe that safety, it didn't exist. That was a day that abandonment took root, and it grew quietly inside of me each day. That moment shaped how I saw the world and how I saw myself. I didn't have the language for it then, but it was abandonment. The silent ache of feeling unprotected, unseen, and unheard. And like many of us, I carried that wound into adulthood, into the way I love, into the way I lead, and into the way I show up for others. Abandonment doesn't always look like someone walking away. Sometimes it looks like staying in places where you have to shrink to be accepted. Sometimes it looks like overworking, overgiving, overcaring, hoping that if you pour enough, no one will leave. But here's the truth. You can't build safety through survival. Healing the abandonment wound begins when you stop chasing the presence outside of you and start to rebuild it within. So as we move to this next part, I want you to see how the abandonment wound not only shapes your inner world, but your leadership, your purpose, and the way you build connection. Let's take a deeper dive. Understanding the wound of abandonment, the psychology of abandonment, and the spiritual lie of separation. Psychologically, abandonment rewires the nervous system It teaches the body to live on alert, always scanning for danger, rejection, or the next goodbye. You start to believe that love has to be earned, that presence must be performed. When you grow up in environments where safety was unpredictable, you don't learn how to rest in love. You learn how to work for it. The inner child begins to overfunction, becoming the caretaker, the achiever, the good one. The brain equates being needed with being loved. As adults, this turns into relationships where we ignore red flags because chaos feels familiar. Our nervous system craves what we once survived, not because it's healthy, but because it's known. Personal impacts of abandonment. Number 1, fear of loss and emotional instability. You anticipate people leaving before they do, creating anxiety even in secure relationships. Other examples of this, you may overanalyze tone shifts, silence, or changes in attention. Number 2, hyperindependence as self-preservation. You believe needing others invites disappointment. You handle everything alone, even when help is available, because dependence feels dangerous. Number 3, overgiving for emotional safety. You equate being needed with being loved. For example, you take on the emotional labor in relationships to ensure people stay close. Number 4, difficulty trusting consistency. You feel the safest in chaos because calm feels unfamiliar. Other examples of this, you unconsciously create unstable dynamics or test others' loyalty. Number 5, emotional withdrawal when triggered. You shut down to avoid the pain of possible rejection or abandonment. Examples of this are you ghost, detach, or become cold when you feel unseen. Number 6, identity fusion with relationships. You lose a sense of self when you attach deeply. You become the one the other person needs rather than who you truly are. Number 7, deep longing for belonging and safety. You constantly search for home in others, unaware that the home is within. You mistake intensity for intimacy and familiarity for love. The abandonment wound isn't about wanting approval. It's about craving the emotional permanence. It teaches you to attach quickly, love deeply, and fear endings. Healing comes from learning that presence can't abandon you when it lives within you. Professional impacts of abandonment. Number 1, overfunctioning as emotional insurance. You take on too much to ensure your value, believing productivity prevents loss. Number 2, hyperindependence as safety. You avoid relying on others because needing them feels like vulnerability. Number 3, trust deficit in leadership. You find it hard to delegate or collaborate fully because control replaces faith. Number 4, emotional inconsistency. You swing between over involvement and detachment when connection feels unstable. Number 5, attachment to titles or roles. Your identity fuses with work, making transitions or endings feel like abandonment. Number 6, self-sacrificial loyalty. You stay in misaligned or toxic spaces out of fear of being left behind or forgotten. Number 7, boundary collapse through care. Abandonment creates performers, not partners. It breeds saviors, not receivers. It convinces you that love only comes when you sacrifice yourself to keep it. But here's the truth. It was never your job to make people stay. You were a child trying to survive an adult's absence. That wasn't failure. That was adaptation. How abandonment shows up in leadership. Here I have 7 archetypes. Number 1, the rescuer. The core fear of the rescuer is if I don't save them, I'll lose them. So the pattern of behavior becomes you overextending yourself to fix, to protect, or to carry others. And this disempowers the team, breeds dependency instead of growth. Number 2, the caretaker. The core fear of the caretaker is if I stop giving, I'll be forgotten. This pattern of behavior is that you overgive emotionally and energetically, and you struggle to receive. This leads to depletion and martyrdom. Number 3, the protector. The core fear of the protector is if I don't control everything, I'll be abandoned again. And this starts to show up in micromanaging and guarding decisions tightly. This will then cause a suffocation of innovation and a suffocation of your team's confidence. Number 4, the lone pillar. The core fear of the lone pillar is if I rely on others, they'll let me down. And this shows up as you shouldering everything alone and avoiding collaboration. This creates emotional burnout and distance. Number 5, the chaser. The core fear of the chaser is if I stop proving my loyalty, they'll leave. This starts to show up in you overcommitting to people or institutions beyond your alignment. Number 6, the shapeshifter. The core fear of the shapeshifter is if I change or outgrow them, I'll be alone. And this starts to show up in you dimming your light or downplaying your growth to stay connected. This also sabotages your expansion and it gets you to bleed in to just maintain belonging, which is not good for you. Number 7, the sentinel. The core fear here is if I rest, everything will fall apart. And this starts to show up as hypervigilance, constantly scanning for what could go wrong. And it leads to anxiety and over control, draining the team morale. The abandonment wound in leadership bursts leaders who care deeply, sometimes too deep, out of fear of being left behind. Healing restores their ability to lead from trust, presence, and mutual support, not survival. The external expression of abandonment. So how does this impact the culture or your team? Number 1, overdependence on the leader. Teams rely on emotional rescue instead of self-accountability. And when I say team, you can use this interchangeably. For example, if you're a parent, you are a leader of your household, so your team is your partner and children. Keep that in mind. We are all leaders. Number 2, inconsistent communication. Warmth and withdrawal alternate, creating confusion and insecurity. Number 3, emotional caretaking culture. The leaders need to feel needed to keep others in dependency. Number 4, invisible exhaustion. Burnout spreads as overgiving becomes the norm. Number 5, lack of clear boundaries. Roles blur and compassion replaces structure. Number 6, fear of detachment or endings. Team members resist change, feedback, or transition out of loyalty. When the abandonment wound leads, the organization becomes a mirror of emotional overextension. When healed, it becomes a sanctuary of interdependence, where everyone learns that presence, not performance, sustains belonging. So, how do we alchemize this wound? How do we get to a better place within ourselves and make a better impact on our environments? Number 1, transform control into trust. Let go of managing outcomes. Allow space for co-creation. Trust is built when you stop gripping. Both people and processes grow when given breathing room. Trust is built when you stop gripping. Both people and processes grow when given breathing room. Number 2, shift from overgiving to balanced support. Lead from overflow, not depletion. Healing is not giving less love. It's giving from fullness, not fear. Number 3, build systems that hold, not rescue. Design structures that empower independence, not dependency. Strong leaders create containers, not crutches. Number 4, practice relational transparency. Communicate needs, boundaries, and expectations clearly. Honesty prevents silent assumptions that lead to distance. Number 5, honor endings as sacred transitions. Allow people, roles, and seasons to complete naturally. Closure is not abandonment, it's alignment. Number 6, anchor belonging in being, not doing. Cultivate cultures where presence matters more than performance. When you feel safe in who you are, your leadership stops striving to be kept. And number 7, lead from inner safety. Root yourself in divine steadiness. No one can leave what you are within. Wholeness attracts stability. Fear attracts chaos. Let's unlock the spiritual layer that this wound carries with it. Spiritually, abandonment is the illusion of separation, the oldest lie in human history. It's the voice that says, "You are forgotten. You are not alone. God must have looked away." But Jeremiah 1:5 reminds us, "Before I formed you in your womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations." But isolation does not equal punishment. It is preparation for something greater. You were set apart, not left behind. And that's powerful because it shows how much you are loved despite the circumstances that the abandonment wound carries. When you leave something, you leave it to wither away. But when you set something apart, that speaks to preservation. In solitude, in the fact that God preserves you, God is able to show you the God on the inside of you. Sometimes God allows isolation not as punishment, but as preparation. The ache of being left is the call to remember divine intimacy. In solitude, you meet the versions of you that others were too loud to hear. So when people walk away, it wasn't rejection, it was redirection. God wasn't removing love, he was revealing it. By saying, "The love you have been searching for is not out there, it's me within you." The divine reframe. We love a good reframe. So, when I think about Mark 6:4, a prophet is not without honor except in their own hometown. It reminds me that sometimes the rejection we face is divine redirection. God didn't allow me to be misunderstood to punish me. He allowed it so that I would stop shrinking to fit environments that could never recognize me. The very places that couldn't honor you were never meant to house your calling. So when people walk away, it wasn't abandonment, it was alignment. You were never meant to blend in where you were meant to be set apart. Psychologically, We heal abandonment by rebuilding safety. Our self trust that we build replaces fear. And we begin to embody, I will not leave me again. Spiritually, this looks like you remembering your divine connection. Also, understanding that presence replaces performance. It's not about doing, it's about being. And then you start to embody, I am one with love. Spiritually, we heal by remembering oneness. And together, that means I am no longer waiting to be chosen. I am learning to stay with myself. And I am no longer proving my worth. I am resting in it. So I leave you with this truth. And this is something you can affirm to yourself. I no longer leave from fear of being left. I leave from the safety of being whole. So, if the abandonment wound has taught me anything, it's that we were never meant to chase safety. We were meant to become it. Healing isn't about pretending that the door was never closed. It's about knowing that even when it did, that God was opening another one on the inside of you. The little girl in me once believed that being left meant that I wasn't enough. But the woman I've become knows that every loss was just a redirection back to my own power, my own purpose, and my own divine protection. And maybe that's what God's been teaching you too. That abandonment isn't the end of love. It's an invitation to rebuild it from within. So if you're listening to this and you've ever felt unseen, unchosen, or unprotected, I want you to know that you were never forgotten. The absence was the initiation, and the silence is the sanctuary. And now you get to lead, love, and live from safety, not survival. Thank you for going deep with me today. I'm your host, Kiara Charles, and this has been Skin Deep Season 2, A Deeper Dive. Until next time, stay rooted, stay focused, and stay skin deep.